The fans keep coming back to Lansdowne Park in Ottawa, hoping eternally their team's problems will be solved. The Rough Riders hope they solved one this week with an early season coaching change. But the Grey Cup champion Winnipeg Blue Bombers plan on being a major problem for the Riders tonight. Winnipeg versus Ottawa in Week 5 of the CFL on CBC. A Grey Cup win in 1976 was Ottawa's 5th in 29 years. Time was, stability was the catchword in the operation of this franchise, one that required only 3 coaches in just under 30 years. But in the mid-80s, instability set in. In the last 8 years, the Riders have gone through 5 different head coaches. It may be no coincidence the Riders have not come close to a winning season during these brief reigns. Last weekend, on the heels of a loss in Winnipeg, their 4th in 4 games, the Riders bade farewell to Steve Goldman a little over 2 years after he took over. The call went out for a coach better equipped to lighten the atmosphere, and Joe Ferragelli answered. In '87, he led Edmonton to a Grey Cup win. Released by the Eskimos at the end of last season, Papa Joe found work in the World League of American Football. On Monday, he arrived in the nation's capital, where he is coach number 6 in 9 years and trying to do what the previous 5 could not. Turn things around beginning tonight against the Bombers. He hasn't had a chance to change much more than the mood here in Ottawa, and yesterday when Joe Ferragelli was asked if he planned any major changes for this game tonight, he responded by saying, about all that I'll be changing tonight is my shorts because my luggage has finally arrived. Presumably, attired in clean shorts, the new head coach of Ottawa joins us now at Lansdowne Park a few moments before kickoff. Joe, are you flying by the seat of your pants tonight?
No, I'm just having a good time, and if we can get this over with, I'm going to go to work.
You want your players to have a good time as well?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thanks for your brief comments. Go and run your team, and good luck tonight.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. It is a common thing in pro sports to see a team rise to a higher level in the first game of a coaching change. The question for the Riders is, will it be high enough tonight to beat the Bombers? And now let's hear from Don Whitman and Joe Gillette.
Thanks, Scott. Hi, everybody. Joe, if you were the Joe on the sidelines, what advice would you have for your quarterback, Damon Allen?
Well, what Damon's got to do, number one, he's got to keep his attitude up even after he makes a mistake. The biggest thing that Damon has to do is use his running game, change the point by which he throws the football. In other words, move the pocket.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers haven't had a great deal of success, certainly not much more than the Ottawa Rough Riders in moving the football this year. They've only scored 5 offensive touchdowns, one of them last week in that 26-19 win, a 104-yard pass to Larry Willis. Tom Burgess this year has not had good numbers, only 2 touchdown passes and 10 interceptions.
Well, what Tom Burgess has to do is to make sure he knows exactly where his offensive protection, the line will be. He's got to be where he tells them he's going to be, and he's got to get a lot of help from his receivers. He can't let those receivers drop the football on him. He's got to put the ball where they can catch it.
Both quarterbacks tonight, Burgess and Allen, hoping they can put up the type of numbers they are capable of. Scott?
Don on Live at the Half tonight will go live to Calgary to chat with Wally Buono, whose 4-0 Stampeders host the BC Lions tonight, and we'll speak to Buono live about a number of topics on Live at the Half. We'll also chat at some length with Joe Ferragelli, now with his 4th CFL team, but obviously still in great demand. That's on Live at the Half. The kickoff is next. Ago, John Gregory led the Saskatchewan Roughriders to a Grey Cup win. This year, the Riders have an outstanding kick returner in Willis Jaycox, but otherwise have struggled. Times are better in Toronto, where Adam Rita directs an explosive offense led by Mike Pinball Clements, who does everything well, including return kicks. Saskatchewan at Toronto, Thursday, August 15th on the CFL on CBC.
Hi again, everybody. It's a beautiful evening in the nation's capital with the temperature of 26 degrees. And the win for this rematch, Winnipeg and Ottawa, should not be a factor. Winnipeg, 26-19 victors last week. The Bombers at 2-2. The Ottawa Rough Riders looking for their first win, and they hope it will come tonight under their new coach, Joe Farragelli. Trevor Kennard is preparing to kick off. Drawhorn and Barnes are back on the receiving team. Trevor Kennard, number 3 all-time in CFL scoring history, will kick the ball to Drawhorn at the 20. And Drawhorn takes it out of bounds at the 39, forced out by Michael Allen, and that's where Ottawa will scrimmage 1st and 10 under the direction of Damon Allen.
Well, Damon Allen's coming into this ball game, and he said he's going to do what Coach Farragelli told him to do. That is, employ his running game, control that defense by being able to run the football, and also by changing the places where he throws the football from, rolling out a little bit more.
His biggest problems have been once he gets inside the opposition 30-yard line, but they indicated yesterday that they would try and run the football more in this game, and on the very first play, Reggie Barnes carries, and he is stopped by Paul Randolph. Farragelli was saying he would like to see Damon Allen give the ball to Reggie Barnes about 19 to 25 times in this game.
What he'd like to see Reggie Barnes do is pick up at least 5 yards, maybe 6 or 7, but at least 5 yards, and then set up some passing to Stephon Jones, their speedster.
2nd and 6. The ball is at the 43. And Damon Allen, as he has done several times this year, has taken too long to get the play underway.
Well, Joe Farragelli said, you're going to make mistakes in a football game. He said, I'm not going to let mistakes bother me. I don't think the players should let mistakes bother them. So we'll see how Damon responds to this first mistake he made. He took too long.
Calling an audible at the line of scrimmage, and Allen took too long in getting the play underway. He now looks at 2nd and 11. His pass was intended for Gerald Wilcox, who was being covered by Darrell Sampson. Michael Gray was pressuring Damon Allen, so it's 3 and out for the Ottawa Rough Riders. They really didn't get an opportunity to run 3 plays as they had that time count violation, but it's a little different when you're looking at 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 11, such as they were there.
Well, that's a big difference. The timing of that pass just takes a little bit longer, and Michael Gray didn't give them the time that they needed to complete that pass.
Troy Johnson is the lone man back for this 3rd down punt. He's wearing number 25 for this game. Winnipeg at the last minute had to make 4 jersey changes as the result of a mysterious disappearance from the locker room of the jerseys belonging to Rob Crepo, to Danny McManus, Troy Johnson, and Lyle Bauer. Tom Burgess, the Winnipeg quarterback, not great numbers this year. He has thrown 10 interceptions and only 2 touchdown passes.
Well, the interceptions are the thing that bother Burgess the most, and what he wants to do is to make sure that he gets off to a good start, gets the passes completed, starts moving the ball a little bit to gain some confidence.
Pass is complete to Robert Mims, and Mims will be very close to a 1st down out to the 48-yard line. Scott Flagel came up to make the tackle.
This is what Burgess does well. He handles the blitz. The blitz was coming. He got the ball out to Mims, who's going to be a big part of this ball game. And if they decide to blitz an awful lot, then Perry Tuttle is the guy that Tom Burgess is going to go to pick up that blitz.
Perry Tuttle in the lineup for the first time this season after having a groin problem and a finger problem suffered during training camp in the preseason. The handoff to Robert Mims, and Mims is caught from behind by Patrick Wayne along with Brian Bonner. A pickup of about 4 yards. It will be 2nd and 6 Winnipeg. The ball is at the 52.
One of the things that Scott Flagel has to do back there is to disguise the coverage. He can't come out of the middle and show Tom Burgess what the defense is going to be too early, or they're in big trouble. And Snipes has got to control the running game up front.
2nd and 6 Winnipeg. The Bombers at their own 52. 12-16 remaining in this opening quarter. Pass is complete to Perry Tuttle, but he's going to be stopped short of the 1st down. Anthony Drawhorn came over to make the tackle. Let's see where they spot the ball. Winnipeg will probably go after it on 3rd down.
Tuttle's a key to this ball game because that's what Burgess likes to do. When he feels the pressure, he likes to look for that inside receiver, breaking across the middle or breaking on the post.
Well, apparently it's more than a yard, and Coach Darryl Rogers has opted to send out the punting unit. Bob Cameron, who broke into pro football in 1980 with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, has been their punter ever since. And this year will go over 200 games played. Taking a lot of time in snapping this ball on this third down kick. There's a penalty flag in the play. An excellent kick by Cameron. Chases Eddie Brown right back to the goal line. Eddie Brown runs out of room in the sidelines, taken out of bounds at the 17 by Ken Haley. But there was a penalty on the play, a procedure call against. And that comes with 11:18 remaining in this opening quarter. Darryl Rogers, the rookie head coach of the Blue Bombers. Everyone knows about his success at Arizona State and Michigan State. And his failure at putting together a winning record while with the Detroit Lions of the NFL. Last year with the Oklahoma Twisters, a semi-pro team. And, of course, Joe Farraghelli this past winter was with the Montreal Machine of the World League of American Football.
You think one of those guys would have coached the Ashtabula Zippers.
They may have. Did you?
No, just played for them.
So Winnipeg, with that procedure call, is forced to punt again. And Eddie Ray Brown takes the ball back at the 15 and is stopped as he gets up to the 19 by James West. One thing West does, he gets downfield very quickly on those special teams.
James West is going to be one of the keys to this football game because he makes tackles all over the field, and he's been doing it for a lot of years. I think the linebackers in particular at Winnipeg, he along with Greg Battle, have got to be able to hang in there. And Darrell Sampson gives the Winnipeg Blue Bombers a lot of opportunities by playing that halfback position as a non-import.
Well, he's the only non-import in the entire league playing a halfback position. Conrad was stopped right at the line of scrimmage, and there were penalty flags. Michael Gray made the tackle. A procedure call against the Ottawa Rough Riders. Type of mistake that Joe Farraghelli hopes to eliminate from this Ottawa football team.
Well, you might say it's only a small mistake, but when you get into those long yardage situations, that really hurts. You know, you get a 5-yard penalty, that's going to have an impact.
Offside. Ottawa number 87. Decline. Second down.
Gerald Wilcox was the man who jumped prematurely from his slot back position.
It's another second and long situation, and that's not what Ottawa wants to see.
Winnipeg declines the penalty. It's second and long for Ottawa. Second and 7, and Stephan Jones takes it out of bounds for a first down. Jones was a little apprehensive when Farraghelli was named as the coach succeeding Steve Goldman, because Stephan Jones was with Edmonton when Farraghelli was the head coach there, and Farraghelli cut Stephan Jones from the Eskimo roster.
Well, Stephan had an injury at the time, but he doesn't have an injury here. He does a nice bend out, catches Rod Hill in zone coverage, and the ball's delivered with some authority by Damon Allen.
First and 10, Ottawa. They are at their own 37-yard line. The initial first down of the game for the Rough Riders. Allen showing blitz. Now he backs out of there. The pass to the other side to Brown, way over his head. He was being covered by Les Allen. It will be second and 10. I said Les Allen, I meant Les Brown. Sorry.
I think he just threw it away. Paul Randolph was right in there on him, and he was getting pressure from both sides, Albert Williams as well. So I think Damon just put it out into the stands so they wouldn't have a bad play. But they're second down and long yardage again. This is the third time in as many tries that they've been second and 10.
Fans at Lansdowne Park somewhat impatient, and that's understandable in view of the team's record over the past few years and the fact they are winless this season. Allen throwing deep for Brock Smith. Ken Haley runs him down, but not before Smith gets to the 21. 50-yard pass from Damon Allen to Brock Smith.
Well, that's what Joe Farragelli said. Let's not let little things bother us. We had a couple procedure calls. Let's just stand tall in there, and that's what Damon Allen did. He stood tall, hit his inside receiver when there was no free safety, and they picked up a nice gain. They're in scoring position.
They rule that he was downed at the 23-yard line. It's 1st and 10. Stephan Jones split wide to the right. Damon Allen goes that way. Jones loses the football. Winnipeg recovers. Great battle, got back there to scoop up that loose football. Stephan Jones made the catch but could not hang on to the ball. Darryl Rogers was talking about the number of turnovers the Rough Riders were guilty of last week in that 26-19 Winnipeg victory.
One of the leading statistics that you look for in this league and how teams are ranked is their takeaway giveaway. Of course, their takeaway giveaway is not very good. They're minus 13, and they've had 24 giveaways and only 11 takeaways, so they're minus 13, last in the CFL, and that's an example of it. You just can't have those kinds of things happen.
Greg Battle, Defensive Player of the Week for his effort against Ottawa. Burgess swings it out to Robert Mims. He can't hang on. That's ruled an incomplete pass. Charles Gordon, playing that right corner, moved up to provide the coverage on Robert Mims with 8:20 remaining in this opening quarter.
Well, there's what we were talking about, the giveaway takeaway, and the Riders have gone from second, which is fantastic, with a plus 17 to this year and only 4 games, a minus 14. It's quite a spread.
Second and 10. Burgess throwing for Larry Willis, and he can't hang on. Larry Willis, who scored that 104-yard touchdown last week, had some room on the sidelines, and he been able to catch that throw from Tom Burgess. Now that's a pass that goes into the statistics as an incomplete pass and is charged against the quarterback, but you can't blame him for that one.
Well, you certainly can't blame him because he put the ball on the money and he had to take a hit after he threw the football. It could have been a big play, but you got to catch the football first, and Winnipeg has had those problems.
Keep playing for that measly fucking shit.
Ottawa with a little different lineup as they try and rush punter Bob Cameron. Anthony Drawhorn, the lone man back on this punt return. He takes the ball out to the 53-yard line. Downfield to make the tackle with Steve Grant with 7:35 remaining in this opening quarter. Well, Larry Willis was probably thinking about all the room he had on the sidelines when he saw that ball coming his direction.
Well, Willis makes the cut, and you can see here the football is delivered right where he would want it, but he starts to drop that left shoulder to turn upfield. I think he's probably taking a peek at the sideline, like you said, Don, and instead of looking at the football hit your hands, you watch the sideline marker, and the football gets away. Those footballs have a tendency to do that. They'll jump right out of your hands if you don't watch them all the way in.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 42-yard line. Reggie Barnes on the drop play, and he'll get inside the 35. That will be close to a first down, stopped by Paul Randolph.
That's what Joe Farragelli wants to do. Joe wants to see good first down plays with Reggie Barnes. He wants to see him break through the arms and the legs and drive in there for a nice gain like he did. He came out the other end. That's the mark of a good football player, and that will control Winnipeg's defense as much as anything.
2nd and 1 for Ottawa. They're looking for big production tonight from Reggie Barnes. He gets the call again to the outside. Ken Haley came over to make the tackle down at the 17.
Kind of an unusual call on the short yardage situation because he broke it all the way to the outside and he had linemen in front of him. And there was some good blocks. Stephan Jones tied up Rod Hill so that he could make another 7 yards.
First and 10 from the 17. This is where the Rough Riders have had some problems, but that quick look-in pass to David Conrad takes the ball down to the 10-yard line, and that should be another first down. Greg Battle made by Battle. So the Ottawa Rough Riders find themselves first and goal down at the 5.
Damon Allen here has shown some confidence in this drive, and he's delivering the football on time, and that's so important because the receiver then can drive into the tacklers and make additional yardage.
Last week, Ottawa did not hit the end zone until the second half. David Conrad stopped after a pickup of about 2 yards by Jerome Reinhardt. Winnipeg's defense, #1 in the league, but they are still missing a number of key players. Linebacker Tyrone Jones, defensive end Quincy Williams, and safety David Bevell.
Well, the big guys are coming into the lineup now. The 2 tight ends are in for Ottawa. They have their power team in. And Darryl Rogers knows they're going to have to play tight and heads up on this goal line.
Kropke and Lewis come in. Damon Allen fakes, and he'll run it in.
Damon Allen gave a nice fake, and what it does, it sets up everything else because the defense is really worried about the running back. Damon comes out and just stutter steps back in, does a little karaoke to the outside, throws the football up into the second deck.
Terry Baker adds the point after, and with 5:14 remaining in this opening quarter, the Ottawa Rough Riders have jumped into a 7-0 lead over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Well, watch Damon Allen as he comes outside. He's got Gerald Roper out in front of him, and he doesn't even need him because he's already given a good inside fake holding the linebackers, and he runs for the flag. Just a good fake in there by Barnes, and everything is set up.
And Damon Allen wins the sprint to the end zone ahead of Bobby Evans and Joe Farragelli, who in his last game in the CFL also faced the Winnipeg Blue Bombers but didn't like the outcome. That was the slaughter in the Grey Cup game a year ago.
I think that's what certainly hurt the Edmonton Eskimos, is getting beat so badly in that game, and it hurt Joe Farragelli's cause. And he's pretending he's loose, but he'd love to win this football game.
Troy Johnson on the kickoff return. Coming up the middle to the 40-yard line, stopped there by Anthony Drawhorn. 5:09 remaining in this opening quarter. As we mentioned, 4 members of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers wearing different jerseys without names on the back. Troy Johnson wearing number 25, Danny McManus wearing number 2, Lyle Bauer wearing 65 rather than his 59, and Rob Crefo is wearing 90 rather than 79. 4 jerseys disappearing from the Bomber dressing room earlier today. Robert Mims ran into Tom Burgess, and Daniel Hunter, who was blitzing from his halfback spot, made sure he didn't go anywhere.
You know how subtle this can be. It's something, it's just a number. It could be a 37 call, and Mims thought it was a 27 because it certainly is a mix-up. Burgess thought it was going to be an underneath handoff. Mims thought it was going to be an outside handoff, and it ended up being a big, big loss.
2nd and 12. Danny McManus, the backup quarterback. He has seen action in a couple of games this year, coming on in relief of the starter Tom Burgess. Burgess throwing that screen to Warren Hudson, and Hudson is stopped at the 49.
This is where Burgess seems to excel. He can do all of the subtle things that you really need in a quarterback. He can throw the screens. He can fake very well. He's a good ball handler. What he's had trouble with is the interceptions, and he's had some people drop the football like we saw on the last drive.
He had all sorts of problems with interceptions in that game a couple of weeks ago against the Toronto Argonauts. as the Blue Bombers lost 30-16 to Toronto, turning the ball over 10 times during the course of that game.
Unbelievable that you can turn the ball over 10 times, and yet they seem to be in the ball game up until midway in the fourth quarter. Papa Joe has been with more football teams than Elizabeth Taylor's been with husbands.
Didn't think there were that many football teams. Third down gamble for Winnipeg, and Burgess keeps it and should have it, diving up across the 50-yard line. 3:44 remaining in this opening quarter. The Ottawa Rough Riders leading Winnipeg 7-0. Should we call them the Ottawa Rough Riders, Joe, or 943-399 Ontario Limited?
That sounds like a rock song or something. I think Darryl Rogers doesn't care what you call him as long as he can win this football game.
When the league took over operation of the Ottawa Rough Riders, that's the number that was attached. Penalty flag, and this will be an interference call against Scott Flagel. He was working against Rob Creefo at the 36-yard line.
They sent the halfback blitz in. This is one of the trademarks for Tom Burgess in the past. He's always been able to go to those inside receivers on the blitz, and he sees it coming, and he sees the halfback right, knows he's going to have to deliver the football, and he gets a good call out of it.
He reacted well to that blitz with some help from Flagel. Got the completion. Now he's throwing for Tuttle. Touchdown! I'm not sure whether that was Tuttle or Troy Johnson going after that football, but Tuttle simply went and got it.
Well, it looked like a fair catch. It was anybody's ball, but there again, it was a halfback blitz coming, so Ottawa went to the well once too many times, because that's what Tom Burgess loves to do. He loves to pick apart a team that's blitzing. I know it doesn't look pretty, but Burgess has that knack of putting the football up where a receiver can run underneath it, and that's exactly what Perry Tuttle did.
Both Perry Tuttle and Troy Johnson were just a couple of steps apart, and Perry Tuttle simply went and got that football. Johnson had his hands up. He was waiting to catch it. The point after added by Trevor Kennard, and this game is tied at 7 with 2:49 remaining in the opening quarter. We'll be back with the Winnipeg kickoff after this. Perry Tuttle, in his first game of the 1991 season, scores the Winnipeg touchdown to make it a 7-7 ball game, and it was either Troy Johnson or Perry Tuttle, and Tuttle went and got the football as he had maneuvered in behind Scott Flagel.
Perry Tuttle said he wanted to impress the coach. You know, he hasn't been out there. This is his first football game where he's back, and he wanted to show the coach what he could do.
On that slim fat, Joe.
Drawhorn on the kickoff return. Trying to stay in bounds, but he runs out of room in front of the Bomber bench. 2:43 remains in the quarter. Scott?
Don, I just asked Perry Tuttle here at the Winnipeg bench if that touchdown pass was intended for him or Troy Johnson. He said it was intended for Troy, only in Troy's mind. I had to fight off him and the Ottawa DB to catch it, but it was mine all the way. I asked him who he caught it against. He said, I don't know. I was so scared I just went up and caught it.
Well, he has the speed that the Bombers like at that slot back position.
I think he's gaining himself a favored position with the coach.
First and 10. The ball is at the 44. Barnes started to go wide, was forced back inside, and picks up 3, maybe 4 yards.
Well, that's what a football coach doesn't want to see, is the running back stutter before he gets to the hole. If there's no hole, they have to just make their own and drive through the lineup, the pile. But Barnes gave everybody a little bit of a chance to recover because he did a little stutter step. I can remember in the old days, Bo Schembecker saying, don't dance, run through the hole. And that's what he means by dancing.
Brown goes wide to the left. Stephan Jones to the right. And Stephan Jones is the target, makes the catch for a first down. This is a similar situation for Joe Farragelli to 1987. when he came in partway through the season to replace an ill Jackie Parker.
I think it's the same idea. There's a good, solid nucleus of veterans around here in Ottawa, and Joe's taking advantage of keeping them a little bit loose, getting their confidence up. Jones is working on Rod Hill.
Rod Hill, who had a key interception at the goal line late in the game last week, had backed off. Stephan Jones now moves up to make the tackle, limiting the gain to about 3 yards. Rod Hill is just shy of the Winnipeg Blue Bomber club record for interceptions in a season. That standard set by Norm Rawhouse. Rawhouse with a career total of 34. And Rod Hill now has 32.
Well, he'll lay back and let people catch the ball in front of them, and suddenly he catches the ball and goes for a touchdown, so watch out.
He had 5 of them September 9th, 1990 against Hamilton. Barnes to the outside and a first down. Rob Smith got outside and threw a key block for Reggie Barnes.
This is going to be a key situation where they do this counter play. They pull their guard and their tackle, and they run to daylight. That's exactly what he's doing. He looks for the hole. He's got 2 people out in front of the play, and a good job by both his receivers.
Back to the live action, 1st and 10. Damon Allen might decide to run it. He had Reinhardt and West both after him, and they force him out of bounds after a pickup of about 3 yards. Well, let's see where they mark it. It'll be down at the 18. It'll be closer to 4.
But looks like Damon Allen's not worried about making mistakes. That certainly proved it on this play. He wanted to throw the football. He said, it doesn't look like it's open. I'm going to run with the football. And he's showing a little bit more authority in the things that he's doing, and I think Papa Joe probably brought that into him.
They had advanced ticket sales of over 20,000 for this game, even though it is not blacked out in the Ottawa area. This could be the final play of the opening quarter. It is 2nd and 6. Randolph coming from the backside after Ken Haley came flying through on the blitz, dropping Damon Allen for a loss. And that is the final play of the opening quarter here at Lansdowne Park. And the game is tied at 7. To start the second quarter, the Rough Riders will be attempting to take the lead on a 35-yard field goal attempt by Terry Baker.
He's been 100% so far this year on field goals.
Did you jinx him?
I hope not.
He hooked that one wide of the post, but put it through the end zone. The Ottawa Rough Riders on the single point move ahead by a score of 8-7. Statistically, in the opening quarter, the Ottawa Rough Riders had the edge. 159 net yards to just 67 for Winnipeg. One of the big plays, a 50-yard pass completion to Brock Smith.
That yards rushing looks good too, Don. What the Ottawa Rough Riders have done is they've established the run, and that has set up some of that pass protection they're getting.
Winnipeg 1st and 10, the ball at the 35. Tom Burgess loses the football. Ottawa's got it. Patrick Wayne stripped it from the quarterback. Glenn Kalka recovered.
Patrick Wayne is just a fine athlete, and he came in. I don't think Burgess wanted to run with the football. He came out, and it looked like there was another mix-up of some sort with the running back, Mims. He had to run with the football. Patrick Wayne pulled it out, and Glenn Kalka was there in a good position. Now he's pumped. Kalka is pumped up. Said, I told you we should have changed coaches sooner.
Well, he was one that was not the least bit upset when Steve Goldman was given the pink slip. Sideline pattern intended for Stephan Jones, incomplete. Rod Hill went up high trying for the interception. It will be 2nd and 10.
Well, Damon has to be able to deliver that ball low and outside, and that ball was high and inside, and that's just nowhere close to what he's got to be able to complete that pass.
2nd and 10. The ball is at the Winnipeg 36. Ottawa leads it by a score of 8-7. The Rough Riders looking for their initial win of this 1991 season after 4 straight losses. Brock Smith with a first down, taken out of bounds by Ken Haley at the 21.
Damon Allen takes a good shot on this play, but he delivers the football. You have to give him credit. He is really hanging in there, and he took the hit. That's the last second that you have to hold on, and then Jerome Reinhardt came in and put the hit right. He put it right on him.
Jerome Reinhardt in the ball game in place of Quincy Williams. 1st and 10. Ottawa there at the Winnipeg 21. 13-16 remaining in the half. David Conrad stopped after a pickup of a couple of yards. Michael Gray and Albert Williams both got a piece of David Conrad. According to Coach Darrell Rogers, Michael Gray is really having a fine season at that defensive end position for Winnipeg.
Michael's a good football player. He's the kind of guy that makes a lot of key plays. He's got the savvy that you need in a defensive lineman. He seems to smell out all the trick plays.
2nd and 8. Here comes the pressure from Greg Battle. The pass complete on the far side. And Stephan Jones has another Ottawa first down.
Joe Farragelli, I think, had a phone call to Stephan Jones. That was his first phone call, I believe, in Ottawa. And Stephan says, hey, coach, you know, bygones are bygones. I'm going to show you that I'm a football player better than I was when I was in Edmonton. And he's well on the way to showing that.
Stephan Jones has made a number of key receptions already in this football game. It's 1st and goal from the 9. 5 catches so far tonight. Jerome Reinhardt gets it away to Jerome Reinhardt had Damon Allen, but he got the pass away to Gerald Wilcox. And that takes it inside the 5.
Well, there's a mix-up between Rob Smith and Gerald Roper because Damon Allen's trying to get this football away, and there's a guy in there clean named Jerome Reinhardt. He's having a good football game, and he's stunting inside. They got to pick him up if they want to get this ball into the end zone.
2nd and goal, penalty flag on the play. It's going to be a procedure call against Ottawa, and this is something that Farragelli indicated he wanted to eliminate from the Ottawa scheme.
Procedure. Ottawa number 61. 2nd down repeated.
A number of mistakes that the team has made when they're in scoring position.
61.
Well, they can't move until the snap is given, and you can see at the top of the left of the screen, 29 is taunting the defense, and that's illegal.
Ryan Illerbrun was the Ottawa player who moved prematurely. Complete to Stephan Jones. He breaks 1 tackle, stays on his feet, but won't get the end zone.
This crowd certainly loves what's happening out here. This is a good football game. Stephan Jones has been working Rod Hill, driving upfield on him, coming back, running the inside cuts, the outside. This time he just stopped. He just stopped, caught the football, and now he broke the tackle, nearly scored on this play.
He broke loose from Rod Hill and carried down to the 1.5, and it's 3rd and goal. And they got the touchdown. Reggie Barnes into the end zone. Smith and Gerald Roper leading Reggie Barnes into the end zone.
That's a big play for Joe Farragelli, saying that what we're going to do is we're going to go for it. We're going to pull these linemen. We're going to break that counter play back outside. And you can see Reggie Barnes because he delayed that step, has got a huge hole open up inside.
Going after by Terry Baker. And the Ottawa Rough Riders with 10:53 remaining in the half now lead by 8 points. And we'll be back with the Ottawa kickoff after this. Reggie Barnes hasn't had a great deal of work so far this year, but Joe Farragelli has his way. He's going to be getting the ball a lot more.
Well, Joe Farragelli told us yesterday, he said, hey, I'll tell you what, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to give the ball to number 19 because Reggie Barnes, see what Joe's saying? I told you that guy can run the football into the end zone.
Now, what did the exit?
Terry Baker kicking off. Troy Johnson lets it bounce at the 8-yard line. That's dangerous when you start to cut back into the middle. A lot of black jerseys are coming your way, and Troy Johnson found one in Brian Bonner.
Well, unless somebody makes a mistake to the wide side of the field, you can very rarely catch the ball around the numbers and get all the way around the other side of the field hash mark. It just doesn't work. And all they have to do is play disciplined kick coverage. You're never going to get there. So it's better oftentimes to take it straight up the sideline where you catch the ball.
1st and 10 Winnipeg, the Blue Bombers at their own 17, 10:30 remaining in this first half. Here comes the pressure. There's the pass complete to Robert Mims. And a penalty flag on the play. And another penalty flag as Snipes decked Chris Walby out of bounds.
That's what Joe doesn't want to see. He doesn't want to see all that individual selfishness on the football field. That's what kills you. The penalties, they would have been in good position here. They had a penalty. Ottawa had a penalty, and then they commit a penalty, so it nullifies any good field position they might have had.
A rough play call against both sides. Undisciplined play is what Farragelli was referring to.
Well, you know what you want to tell a football player is that you do it when the whistle, between the whistles and between the sidelines.
Unnecessary roughness, Ottawa 63.
Now
Second down.
You can't quite see it, but a couple people came in after the whistle, after the play was over. There's no need for that. That's what Joe's telling them right now. He's saying, listen, son, we want to win this football game. We want to, you hear what he said? Be smart. Use your head.
Jeff Jackson goes into the ball game, replacing Snipes. 2nd and 4. Burgess completes the pass to Creeple for a first down at the 32.
Burgess needs to get some things going, and I think if he completes some short passes, he'll get the confidence and be able to put the ball up. He's trying to get first downs, and then when they start to blitz him, when he gets across the midfield, they'll start to blitz him. Darryl Rogers likes that situation because then he can throw the deep ones.
Snipes back into the ball game after having a word with Coach Joe Farragelli. Wide open is Perry Tuttle. Drawhorn takes him out of bounds. So Perry Tuttle has certainly had an impact in his first game back in a Blue Bomber uniform this season. He has scored a touchdown and provides Winnipeg with a key first down with 9:48 remaining in the half.
Perry Tuttle was the key to the playoffs last year for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and when he's back in the lineup, they've got that inside threat, and Burgess loves to throw to the inside receivers.
Tuttle said yesterday he was nervous coming into this ball game. Said probably more nervous than at any time in his professional career. Tom Burgess sees an opening. Penalty flag. That will be a face mask call against Snipes.
There's another penalty that we talked about. You just can't give the other team opportunities, and that's what Snipes did by grabbing the face mask rather than making a sound
Major
tackle.
foul. Face mask. Ottawa number 91. First down.
So Angelo Snipes, who got an opportunity to play regularly when Jeff Braswell was released, gets another penalty, and you see the head of quarterback Tom Burgess snap around as Snipes reached out to grab him. 1st and 10 Winnipeg. The ball is at the Ottawa 44. Patrick Wayne was blitzing the pass over the middle intended for Perry Tuttle. Incomplete. That's something Burgess does very well, is pick up that blitz.
Burgess has tremendous peripheral vision. He can see out the corners of his head. He knew the blitz was coming, delivered the ball. Tuttle made a break, a clean break, because there was Drawhorn playing him head up. Had a chance for it. Drawhorn put his hand in and broke up the play.
What does they say? Burgess is capable of seeing out of those ear holes?
He can see out of the ear holes. He knows when the blitz is coming, and he's probably the best of anybody in the league at that.
Here comes the pressure again. He dodged Snipes, but he can't get away from Bonner.
Joe Ferraghelli's confused. He thinks it's already a touchdown. Not yet, Joe. Brian Bonner is a football player that's been making some big plays the past few weeks. What helped was Snipes made him bring the ball down, made Burgess bring the ball down, and then it got cleaned up by Brian Bonner coming in. And he's made some sacks the last few weeks. Good job, Brian Bonner.
Set up by Angelo Snipes, and I'm sure he has redeemed himself in the eyes of Coach Joe Ferraghelli with that play.
Joe signaled touchdown, so I guess he did.
Excellent kick by Bob Cameron. Brown, the lone man, back at his own 4-yard line. Ken Haley's in pursuit. So is Nick Benjamin, and Benjamin has him down at the 2. You know, for a big man, Benjamin has amazing speed. 8:18 is the time remaining in the first half. Ottawa leads by 8.
Well, it seems wherever I go these days, people say to me, Scott, what's the deal on this return to sender thing? The CBC's a big outfit, as you know, and we've scoured the props department to find a way to award the speedster who accumulates the most yardage on kickoff and punt returns, gets a $30 GST included bowling trophy and a vintage CBC Olympic shirt from 1976. And Saskatchewan's Willis Jaycox has the lead on the gizmo. We'll get a chance to see Jaycox a week tonight when we're in Toronto, and he's there to lead Saskatchewan. And Don, I really think the music made that gag work, don't you?
No.
Thanks for your help.
From the 2-yard line, Damon Allen rolling out of there and trying to run for a first down. There's a penalty flag in the Ottawa backfield in the end zone. I think it's going to be a holding call that will bring this one back.
Reggie Barnes knew that Damon was in trouble if he didn't get a piece of that jersey, so he reached out, pulled in the jersey, and gave Damon the corner so he could get out of that end zone. Maybe that's a smart play, because he did. That's a smart penalty. There are some dumb penalties, and Ottawa certainly had those, but this is not one of them.
Holding, Ottawa number 19. First down repeated.
Scott said we get to see the Saskatchewan Roughriders next week when they travel to the Sky Dome to take on the Argonauts. Those two teams have a home-and-home series. It starts tomorrow night at Taylor Field in Regina when Saskatchewan entertains the Argos.
Well, they only lost about a half a yard on that penalty, so they didn't give up a safety touch.
Back at the 1-yard line, and Reggie Barnes got back to the original line of scrimmage.
And thank this field position. Ferraghelli's upset because they're right on the goal line, and the field position was set up by Nick Benjamin's fine punt coverage. He did a great job, reached out, grabbed with one paw. He grabbed Eddie Brown and pulled him down.
Well, last week, Winnipeg had success in blocking a Terry Baker punt. Rod Hill blocked it. It went for a touchdown when Michael Allen recovered. I'm sure if they are able to hold Ottawa on this second down play, they'll be going after him again, but they're going to get him for a safety touch. Jerome Reinhardt is the man who got through to get to Damon Allen, and you can credit that to fine downfield coverage by both Ken Haley and Les Brown. Haley was defending against Smith, and Brown was all wrapped up by Les Brown.
Well, Jerome Reinhardt, number 55, he's driving through, and he just goes right through Gerald Roper, makes the tackle, and that gives them 2 points, and they have to kick, so that's the bad news. You know, one of the things that Steve Goldman was alluding to was that he gave this football team a lot of money, got a lot of free agents into the Ottawa Rough Riders. So Steve Goldman said, I gave him the gold mine, and the players gave me the shaft. It's a country song, Don.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, it would appear, rather than have Ottawa kick off, are opting to scrimmage from their own 35 after that safety touch.
That's interesting, because I would think that Johnson, with his return ability, would have given him at least the 35-yard line in field position.
Usually, the team that scores the safety touch has the other team kick off, but Winnipeg opted to scrimmage, and Kropke is offside. He's protesting that there was a procedure call against Winnipeg. There didn't appear to be any movement along that offensive line.
He's just doing that to save his own skin. I think you always do that. You know, as a defensive lineman, when you jump, you always point to the offense, just in case. It could have been verbal. It could have been somebody shouting at him.
Well, the officials don't agree with Kropke.
Well, they say good defensive linemen will do that. They're so triggered, and they've got all of that weight forward, that the slightest movement, just a clenching of the fist sometimes, will draw them off sides.
At the 40-yard line, it's 1st and 5. Hand off to Mims, and Mims will only get a couple of yards before being wrapped up by Snipes and Bonner, the two linebackers. 6:30 is the time remaining in this first half. 15-9, Ottawa leads Winnipeg.
Snipes was one of those football players. He played at Kansas City and was the outstanding special teams player for Kansas City, so he knows how to play in the open space. Open field tackles are his specialty.
Burgess with time, 2nd and 3, throws to Mims. He can't hang on. Scott Flagel and Patrick Wayne had ideas of making a Robert Mims sandwich out of it, and the ball arrived at about the same instant as they did, and the result was an incomplete pass.
That ball was right into his hands, and he should have caught the football. Mims had the football. There's no question about that, and he probably heard some footsteps, but Scott Flagel, he wasn't close enough to break it up. Patrick Wayne just watched him hit his hands, and I think it should have been a catch.
Bob Cameron's 3rd down punt from the 28-yard line. Climby is back, along with Drawhorn. Climby will take it at the 35. And he brings it out to the 53. Warren Hudson tripped him up, but the Rough Riders will have good field position when we return.
Coaches will be our focus on Live at the Half tonight. We'll go live to Calgary, where later this evening the Stampeders, the CFL's only unbeaten team, play the BC Lions. We'll talk to the Stamps head coach, Wally Buono. Here in Ottawa, we'll spend a few moments with the Riders head coach, Joe Faragelli, whose lifelong CFL tour continues. 5 teams and 24 years later, still in the league. And Don and Joe will share with us the play of the half. That's all on Live at the Half at Lansdowne Park tonight. Don?
Yes, Joe Faragelli initially came into the CFL as an assistant coach with Winnipeg way back in 1967. 1st and 10, Ottawa. The ball is at the 53. Damon Allen couldn't find a receiver as Greg Battle after him, and Battle forces him out of bounds.
Secondary of Winnipeg's doing a fine job. They're covering their receivers very well. What Damon had to do that time, he had the protection, but couldn't find anybody open, and Greg Battle came over and cut him off.
Greg Battle played for head coach Darryl Rogers at Arizona State. Darryl Rogers was telling me only one of 5 freshmen who ever started for him during his college coaching career.
They did a great job of recruiting, and when you start as a freshman, you're a good athlete at Arizona.
2nd and 5. Michael Gray is after Damon Allen. Allen throws down the sidelines. The pass is incomplete. It was intended for Jock Climby, and he had Darrell Sampson all over him.
Well, there again, he was pressured and put the ball into a receiver's hands, but wasn't to be. They were both good coverage on the quarterback, good coverage on the receiver.
Troy Johnson is the man back for this third down punt with 4:50 remaining in the half. Rod Hill coming from the outside. He was blocked just at the last moment. Troy Johnson takes it at the 5. All on his own back there and taken out of bounds at the 15 by Charles Gordon. Winnipeg in second place in the Eastern Division, 2 back of the Toronto Argonauts, and Ottawa and Hamilton are still winless this CFL season. Hamilton, Saturday night, will be at home to the Edmonton Eskimos.
That should make Joe Farragelli happy because he said that they have to improve their punting. Terry Baker's the top punter in the league, but his net is way down around 28 yards, meaning people return the ball. He's not getting it up where he should.
A game that will be getting underway later this evening. BC will be looking to move into a first-place tie, and the Calgary Stampeders, their lone loss at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Mims got up to the 21-yard line, stopped there by Kulka and Bonner. 4:04 is the time remaining in the half.
Winnipeg's field position hasn't been very good here in the second quarter. I mean, they're backed up to their own goal line, and they're not being able to get things going.
Frefo and Willis both come wide to the right. Burgess with the blitz from Drawhorn goes down.
There's a halfback blitz coming. Anthony Drawhorn comes in off the corner, and Burgess is sprinting to that side, and there's nobody to pick up the halfback blitz, and there was nobody looking for the football so that Tom Burgess could dump it off.
Anthony Drawhorn spent 3 seasons with the BC Lions before joining the Ottawa Rough Riders for their game against Edmonton. Short kick by Bob Cameron. Climbing now, handles it at the 45, and in the process draws a penalty flag. He had a couple of blue and gold jerseys within that 5-yard area.
Well, here's one of the new cheerleaders for the Ottawa Rough Riders.
In the year 2010.
Well, there's a big crowd here tonight, and I'm sure she's impressed.
No yards. Winnipeg number 12. First down.
The penalty against Bobby Evans, and that will take the ball down to the 30-yard line. 1st and 10 Ottawa with 3:27 remaining.
Climby alertly picked this ball up knowing that there were people within that 5-yard zone. He could have gotten it called against Benjamin as well.
Actually, Benjamin was probably closer to Climby than number 12, Bobby Evans.
But we'll let the officials call them. Actually, there have been less penalties this year, 26 less already this year than last year.
Reggie Barnes gets to the outside behind a block from Brian Illebrun and goes out of bounds at the 23, forced by Darrell Sampson.
What's up, Mom, Dad?
The Ottawa Rough Riders are in scoring position, leading by 6 with 3:02 left in the half. I think we'll be tuning in, Scott, and I'm looking forward to watching Michael Smith perform at the World Athletics Championships after watching him win that gold medal at the Commonwealth Games in 1990 in Auckland, New Zealand. He is one of the world's top decathletes, there's no question about it. Reggie Barnes was looking for a first down. He's going to be about a yard shy.
That's good. 3 points is important.
Greg Battle and Jerome Reinhardt stacked them up right at the line of scrimmage. They're 3rd and 1. And Terry Baker comes into the ball game to attempt a field goal.
That Jerome Reinhardt is really having a football game tonight.
The Rough Riders a man short as Scott Flagel just gets in there in time. However, there is a penalty flag on the play. This will probably be an illegal substitution call against Ottawa, the late arrival after the officials' arms were extended by Scott Flagel.
They call that when the gates are closed. When the official drops his arms, the gates are closed. This is called the wing back in motion play. That's called a
illegal substitution. Ottawa number 14. Third down repeated.
Come on, Scott. You know better than that. I don't know if Scott was supposed to be in there. He might have been the guy that just spotted a man missing and ran out to help.
That takes the ball back to the 31-yard line. And it will now be a 38-yard field goal attempt by Terry Baker. Well, it doesn't make any difference. He puts it through the uprights just the same. And increases the lead to 9 points with 2:25 remaining in the half. Wherever you're looking in tonight on the CBC television network, whether it's here in the city of Ottawa or in Newfoundland, where some folks said they stayed up to the bitter end of last week's overtime game between Toronto and BC, and it was almost 5 in the morning before they got to bed. We hope you're enjoying the action tonight from Lansdowne Park.
We just saw a good picture of the holder for Terry Baker show his athletic ability. He pulled the ball over and put it back up on the tee, giving Terry an opportunity to complete that ball.
Tuttle was the target as safety Scott Flagel was blitzing and out of position. But Anthony Drawhorn got back to cover Perry Tuttle. Patrick Wayne was coming from one side and Flagel was coming up the middle.
But Drawhorn's trying to take the inside away. That's the big thing that you have to do with Perry Tuttle. But Patrick Wayne puts his shoulder pads right in the solar plexus of Tom Burgess, and Tom took a hit to get that ball off.
2nd and 10 Winnipeg from the 35. Burgess throwing deep. Incomplete, intended for Perry Tuttle again. Another solid hit. And again, Tom Burgess took another solid hit, this time from Glenn Kalka.
Well, they're going to the well a few times, and Perry Tuttle, Burgess is under tremendous pressure. Perry Tuttle is trying to make his break underneath an underthrown ball. Had a chance for it, but his legs were in the way. Kalka really slammed Burgess to the floor.
Eddie Brown waits for it at the 30. Whoa, he took a hit. Grant was downfield along with Benjamin and Brendan Rogers.
I'm glad I'm standing next to you, Don, instead of being on that football field. There's some tremendous hits going on out there. Big Nick Benjamin used to be the door guard for the Montreal Alouettes, and you can see he guarded the door very well. That's while he was in university. Nobody came in our locker room, I'll tell you that.
1st and 10 from the 35. Les Brown dove for the interception on the pass intended for Brock Smith, and he may have injured himself in the process.
Brock Smith was wide open, and Damon just put too much on the football. That seam pattern was wide open. But Damon is a little bit pumped up, I guess, after all those hits. And that ball sailed on him. Just a nice effort by Brown trying to pick it off.
Could be that when Brown came down, he landed on top of that football, on the point of the football.
That hurts a lot when you land on that football and the rib cage hits the ball and the ball hits the ground at the same time. Takes the wind out of you, and hopefully that's all it is. The seam pass is there. It's certainly there, but Brock Smith doesn't seem to be aware of it. He's not looking so that he can make the adjustment to the ball, but it is a bit overthrown. Yeah, I think that's what Les is saying. I can't breathe. I've heard that said a few times. No, he can breathe now.
Equipment man Len Amy and trainer Ross Hodgkinson out there helping Les Brown off to the sidelines. Len Amy, man in the picture, has been the Bomber equipment man for 23 years, and he and his wife Ruby today are celebrating their 38th anniversary.
That's impossible. He looks like he's 35.
Len said he hasn't been home for many of those anniversary celebrations because of his football commitments.
That's a testimony of what it's like to work with young people. It keeps you looking young. How old are you, Don?
Let's not get into that particular topic. Just over 2 minutes remaining in this first half. 2nd and 10. Bobby Evans is in there in place of Les Brown. The swing pass to Reggie Barnes, and he won't get the first down. Stopped at the 41. Ken Haley came up to break up the play.
I don't think Reggie's a guy that's going to go 95 yards on a long run, but he's always going to give you consistent yardage. His shoulder pads always go upfield, always point towards the goal line, and he made a nice play, even though he didn't get the first down.
Terry Baker stands back at the 26 for this 3rd down punt. Johnson is the lone man back. He won't get a chance to field it as it goes out of bounds at the 17.
We were talking to Terry Baker before the game, and he said there's no wind out here, and I really feel good in the warm-ups, and he's having a good ball game.
And of course this year he is handling both assignments for Ottawa, the place kicking as well as the punting.
He's the Cameron and the Kennard all in one.
And what it does for the Ottawa Rough Riders, it opens up another spot on the roster.
And in a hot night like this, it's nice to have another position on those special teams.
1:34 remaining. Winnipeg 1st and 10. The ball is at the 17. Draw play with Robert Mims. And Patrick Wayne, who has played a strong football game, is there to make the tackle along with Brian Bonner.
Well, some of the linemen were complaining about the long practices that they had to have. Oh, we don't want to look at you yet, Joe. We'll look at you after the ball game. Oh, I think he's talking to the ball club. He wants a signal because they'd like to get a timeout. What Joe's telling them is be ready for a timeout so that they have to punt. He doesn't want Winnipeg to get off without having to punt before the clock ends, the half.
Burgess is in trouble. He threw that one at the yardage marker. And the fans react, and justifiably so. I don't think there's any question Burgess was throwing that one away.
He was throwing it away, and Patrick Wayne gave him no other option. Patrick Wayne's having a fine ball game, and the crowd is really into this football game. They're having a great time. Who said you shouldn't lift the blackouts?
Yes, the game is being seen locally in the Ottawa area this evening, but still one of the better crowds of the season in Ottawa. They anticipated that they would have about 25,000. Anthony Drawhorn brought down by James West on a good downfield tackle at the 52. But still time for Ottawa to get into scoring position. 57 seconds remain in the half.
Ferragelli will be pleased because he didn't have to call the timeout because it was an incompleted pass. Now he's got a timeout, and they've got a minute, and they could get down and get at least a field goal or possibly the touchdown.
Last week, Winnipeg won by a score of 26-19. The Rough Riders leading this one 18-9. Brock Smith makes the catch in front of Ken Haley, and then Haley gets back into position to make the tackle at the 45. And that is another Ottawa first down.
Brock Smith wasted about 5 seconds. He should have either gone out of bounds or just gone down because he's wasting time. But he's taken a few more hits than he had to.
Well, with that clock running, the Rough Riders are taking a lot of time in getting a play underway. Damon Allen looking for Brown, incomplete. That will stop the clock with 30 seconds left in the half.
Those are the little subtleties that a good football team has under their control, to not waste approximately 30 seconds on a 10-yard gain. And this is where they are now. They're on the 45. They need at least 15 yards to get themselves in good position.
The clock does not start until the ball is snapped. Whoa, that screen pass almost intercepted by Jerome Reinhardt.
Michael Gray beat the screen block. That's tough to do. I would talk to some offensive linemen here about how they're setting up this screen block. They left Damon Allen back there with Michael Gray just all over him, and the left side didn't set up the screen properly, and there's that guy again. We've seen him all night. Jerome Reinhardt almost caught the ball.
Terry Baker, who has a field goal of 40 yards this year, will be attempting a 52-yard field goal with 26 seconds remaining in the half.
Well, Jason Garrett did a great job of holding on that last time.
The kick is good.
Jason Garrett hold the ball. It was a good snap this time. He's happy that it's a long field goal. Terry Baker's happy, but the confidence factor that Jason Garrett held that ball on a bad snap, the field goal attempt before this, is what set this field goal up.
The longest field goal ever for Terry Baker, and his reaction was almost ho-hum. Tom Burgess throwing down the sidelines, incomplete, intended for Perry Tuttle.
With 15 seconds to go, you might look for some kind of a trick play like the hook and ladder or a flea flicker or some sort. It's usually worth a try with this time and field position.
15 seconds remaining in the half. The scatter formation that Winnipeg uses, sending everybody out, and Perry Tuttle makes the catch. He's got a first down with 8 seconds remaining.
Well, maybe they'll try a trick off of the scatter formation, and it looks like they're already set up on the ball, but it's not my shoelaces untied play that Winnipeg was so famous for in the past. No, they're lined up normally. Joe's lined up normally.
Burgess throws deep down the sidelines, intended for Perry Tuttle, knocked out of bounds by Drawhorn, and that's the final play of the first half. Garrett Lansdowne-Park. And the Ottawa Rough Riders head to the dressing room with a 12-point lead.
Welcome to Live at the Half. It's Ottawa 21, Winnipeg 9 at halftime. This at Lansdowne Park, and as we speak in Calgary, the class of the CFL, the Stampeders are set to kick off in just about an hour against Doug Flutie and the BC Lions. The Stamps, the CFL's only unbeaten team at 4-0, and joining us now from field level at McMahon Stadium is the head coach of the Stampeders, Wally Buono. Well, Wally, 3 of 4 wins on the road. Nice record, but I'm sure it's just as nice to finally play at home.
Well, it definitely is, Scott. We played last year some of our better games at home, and our players are very comfortable here, and they really come out and give us a good effort. So against BC right now in Doug Flutie, maybe this is the best place to play them.
I'm not sure what kind of crowd you're expecting at McMahon Stadium tonight, but this is a matchup of 2 good football teams, and you guys are unbeaten. If you can't sell this game to Calgary fans, I'm sure you'll be left wondering.
Well, we can. Our media people have really gotten behind us and have really pushed the game, and we're expecting 30,000 people to be here tonight, and you know, we might even have more. I think the people are warming up to the team. They understand there's a great product on the field, and tonight might be the best show yet.
Doug Flutie's an outstanding quarterback, Wally. It seems the teams know what he's going to do, but they still can't stop him. Do you like your chances of containing him tonight?
Well, again, we're the only team this year that's beat them, so we feel very confident in our people. We have excellent defensive linemen, not only in size, but also in speed. And, you know, we're going to get after Doug, and he knows that, and he's going to put the ball in the air, and it's going to be a great show.
Wally, with the way things have gone early in the season, are you and the Stampeders targeting first place in the West? And I caution you that the phrase "one game at a time" is banned on this telecast. You can't use that in your answer.
Well, again, that's been our motto. We just play one game at a time, and but we're looking for first place. We were finished first place last year. We want to be in Winnipeg come in November, and our players have dedicated themselves to that. And there's no secret that every team in the West wants that. So, you know, let's put it on the line and let's go out and get it.
All right, Wally, thank you very much for your time. And Wally Buono's Calgary Stampeders hoping to remain unbeaten tonight at McMahon Stadium at the expense of the BC Lions. Good luck, Wally.
Thank you very much, Scott.
You may be able to hear at Lansdowne Park that the atmosphere is significantly different. We're joined live now at Lansdowne Park by the commissioner of the CFL, Donald Crump. The Rough Riders, obviously, Dom, would settle for their first win of the season and somewhere along the line settle for a new owner. Any progress to report in that situation?
Well, I think there's progress on both fronts, Scott. It looks like the team has come to play tonight, and Papa Joe looks like he's got them fired up. And I met today with two groups of people. One, James Manis from Toronto. He's in the steel fabrication business, and another Handyco company, and they're both interested keenly in acquiring this franchise.
As commissioner of the CFL, I'm wondering if you felt a tad awkward in having to make the final decision to fire Steve Goldman, because you're, after all, supposed to be the most impartial person in the league.
Well, Scott, you know, it's important to keep this franchise alive and credible in this community. And from everything that I heard, it was a decision that had to be made. I didn't like to do it, but I did it, and it looks like it's going to be positive.
Breaking news the past couple of days, inquiries about CFL franchises from two U.S. cities, Portland and Detroit. How serious are the inquiries?
I really don't know how serious they are. I've had some inquiries from Detroit because they want an alternate use for the Tiger Stadium. And the Portland situation I really don't know anything about. But I've talked with Arthur Blackwell, the commissioner of the Wayne County Commission, and I expect that we'll be going over there in the next week sometime to see the facility, and then we'll discuss it in our expansion committee.
All right, Commissioner Crump, thank you for your time. And the man the commissioner brought back to the CFL on Monday to take over Ottawa, Joe Faragelli, is up next in conversation with us when Live at the Half continues. Without going back to open up old wounds, I guess it's to state the obvious to say that when you left Edmonton and the CFL at the end of last season, that you didn't want to go.
No, I didn't. I didn't want to go. I think if I'd have won the Grey Cup, I would have gone. I think my wife had decided that's the way to go. But I wanted one more year to get another shot at the Grey Cup, number one. And number two, my timetable was for 92. And so it didn't turn out that way, and that's the way it is.
You know, you could be the greatest relief coach in the history of the CFL. You stepped in and took over a 2-14 team in Saskatchewan. You took over the Eskimos 3 games into the '87 season, and now you've been called upon to step in and clean up this situation in Ottawa. What is it about Joe Faragelli that sees him attractive to people who are looking for a cleanup?
Well, as I said, probably the only guy available, and they called me, and I like the game enough that I would say yes.
Don't be so humble. It's not just a question of availability.
Well, as I said, I was in Montreal and it folded, so I'm not pitching a no-hitter. Yeah. And we haven't coached the game yet here, so, you know, let's hold off until the end of the year.
Yeah, you're right. Now, what about the game here and the players you have? I know that you see as your #1 priority injecting fun into the game of football for the Ottawa Rough Riders, but you know as well as I that it's a whole lot easier to have fun when you're winning games. Have you got the talent here to string together some wins?
Well, I would be presumptuous to come in and say, hey, this guy can't play and that guy. I just went to the coaches in the individual positions and said, tell me what you need. What do you need to be successful in your group? And every one of them said, we have enough of talent. And then the question came up, well, then why don't we win? And so we kind of approached it as, let's put fun back into it. Everything is a positive thing. Get their legs back, get their minds sharp, and And all that's fine. I think we accomplished that in the 2 days, and I think the coaches did a great job doing it. But the final analysis, we have to win.
People work all their lives to retire in comfort. You're in Rhode Island, at your residence. You can see the ocean from there. You're getting ready to go fishing. The sun's shining. You get the call to come up here and take over the Rough Riders. You must have had to think long and hard about it.
Well,
or did you?
Well, when I committed myself, which was Saturday morning, when I got the call with the permission of my wife, and then after that, for the next day and a half, I thought about what the heck am I doing? You know, here I got this lovely tan. I got the beach on one side, and I fish whenever I want. But I think it was just the fact that coming back as an interim coach, coaching for 3-4 months, that was exciting to me, and that's why I came.
There's just one other thing. That tan is gone by September. You know that.
Not if the sun keeps shining. I tell you, it don't take much for me to tan up.
Joe, welcome back to the CFL, and thanks for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Joe Farragelli is back in the CFL, and he has the Ottawa Rough Riders in front. Joe Galat by a score of 21-9. I think the key ingredient many of the players were talking about yesterday is having some fun. It looked as though they were having fun in that first half.
Well, they had a great time. What really impressed me was the way that Damon Allen came out, and he had some leadership. And they did make some mistakes early. They had some procedure calls. They very well could have gotten down, but they came back and played real tough. Winnipeg is predicated, their defense is totally predicated on muscling the other team. Here, they have a long bomb thrown against them because the safety, Michael Allen, came up to blitz, and Ken Haley couldn't cover that long, and Damon Allen found the open receiver, Brock Smith.
And Brock Smith produced a 50-yard gain in that play. The Ottawa Rough Riders subsequently got a touchdown out of Damon Allen, and they lead 21-9. Winnipeg's offense just hasn't been able to get on track.
Well, I think what Winnipeg has to do, they got to get something going in a running game, and then their pass protection will improve. But right now, they haven't gotten the protection. Burgess has taken some tremendous hits.
Well, the fans at Lansdowne Park are delighted what they've seen through the first 30 minutes. They hope it keeps up through the second half. We'll be back right after this. The 12-point lead the Rough Riders enjoy is reflected in the first half statistics. The Riders leading in all departments. 21-9 is the score. And the Rough Riders attaining more balance between their passing and running attack than they have in their previous 4 games this season. And that's what Coach Joe Farragelli was looking for, while the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have been pretty much an aerial show through the first 30 minutes. And the only success they've had is the touchdown toss from Tom Burgess to Perry Tuttle. Troy Johnson starts from the 10-yard line. And there's a penalty flag on the play as Johnson goes out of bounds at the 27. Penalty call is probably going against that man, Daniel Hunter. The initial contact was made by Charles Gordon. But with the penalty being marched off, Winnipeg will scrimmage now.
Unnecessary roughness
from the 42.
Ottawa number 27, first down.
A little bit out of bounds, and you can't do that.
Tom Burgess remains at the controls of the Winnipeg attack. He was looking for Willis on the sidelines. He made the catch, but the officials right there ruled that he had stepped out of bounds. The slot backs and the backs have been the favorite targets of Tom Burgess. He has not been able to get the ball to his wideouts.
He's got to get the ball to Willis and Johnson. Those are the speed people, and they can make big plays. That will determine how they do this second half.
2nd and 10 from the 42. Looking for Griefer, knocked away by Daniel Hunter. So that penalty Hunter incurred on the opening kickoff, he redeems himself in the eyes of Coach Joe Faragelli with a fine knockdown on a pass intended for Rob Crefo.
Rob Crefo's being double teamed here, and the ball is underthrown. Probably the worst scenario. If that ball was out a little bit further, Crefo might have had a long gainer.
Scott Flagel almost got through on that Bob Cameron punt. Drawhorn ran into one of his own men and bounced off that to get out to the 41-yard line. Stopped by safety Michael Allen. Scott Flagel shares the record for block kicks in the Canadian Football League with Rod Hill of Winnipeg.
Damon's had a good first half, and what he would like to do in this half is to continue to move the sticks, keep the offense moving down the field and establish that running game on the counterplay like they did the first half.
Even had Brown been able to make the catch, it would have been called back because he had gone about 5 yards out of bounds before getting back onto the field of play.
He wants to get the ball to his wide receivers, but the statistic on the wide receivers is a little distorted. Stephon Jones has caught all of those passes. He's got to get the ball to Eddie Brown.
But Eddie Brown has to stay in bounds if he's going to run a pass pattern. To the other side to Stephon Jones. It was well over his head, so it's 2 and out for the Ottawa Roughriders. 13:32 remaining in this third quarter. Ottawa in front by the 21-9 margin that they enjoyed after 30 minutes of play.
Joe Faragelli is going to tell him to run the football. Let's get Barnes into this ball game. Let's control that tough swarming defense of Winnipeg. Let's run at them.
Excellent kick by Baker, chasing Johnson back to his own 10-yard line.
What we talked about, the kicks have to be high, and the problem they've had, Terry Baker has outkicked his coverage sometimes because the ball hasn't been high enough. But Terry Baker, with a 44-yard average, got the ball almost 50 yards up in the air, and his coverage team was down in time to cover.
Sean Foudy was the man who made the tackle on Troy Johnson at the 20-yard line. That's where Winnipeg will scrimmage 1st and 10, and Terry Baker can be pleased with his kicking performance tonight. A career best of 52 yards on a field goal attempt, and he has been punting consistently well. Perry Tuttle has a first down at the 35, taken down by Anthony Drawhorn.
That's a football play by Perry Tuttle. I'm really impressed with Tuttle. First game back, he had the groin injury. He's done a super job of doing what he had to do to get open, and he wasn't very open, but he certainly pulled the ball in.
1st and 10 Winnipeg. The ball is at the 36. Larry Willis makes the catch at the 50-yard line.
Now Burgess is getting into his rhythm. They just ran what they call a dig pattern. The inside receiver pulled the linebackers out underneath, and then, of course, the wide out has a free open lane. Burgess put the ball perfectly in position. Larry Willis has a nice game.
Number 1, Larry Willis making the catch. Number 1, Andre Francis catching Willis. Burgess doesn't get an opportunity to throw. He was caught by blitzing Brian Bonner.
That's what Darryl Rogers didn't want to see. He doesn't want to see 3 passes in a row. He wants to see the running game. Feed them the draw. Feed them a little bit of the running game. The blitz is coming. Bonner's in. Right underneath the blocker and makes the sack. Bonner is playing a good football game.
11:13 remaining in this third quarter. 2nd and 18 Winnipeg. They fake the draw play. Burgess dumps it off, incomplete. Warren Hudson was the man he was trying to get the football to. And Winnipeg will be forced into a punting situation again.
It's so difficult for an offensive line when they show their cards, when they know they're going to have to pass. I think it really helps the defense. They square off and they come upfield. Kolka was in there giving them all kinds of fits. There wasn't much room to get anything done, and Burgess tried to dump it off.
Drawhorn takes it at the 25. And Rogers was there to make the tackle with 10:45 remaining in the third quarter.
Return at 4.
Ottawa will be scrimmaging the football 1st and 10 from their own 30-yard line. The Rough Riders looking for their initial win of the season, and they lead Winnipeg by 12 points. A Winnipeg player that was slow in getting to his feet, cornerback Rod Hill, now getting set and ready for the first down play by the Ottawa Rough Riders.
Rod Hill's been getting a lot of work tonight.
He and Stefan Jones have been waging quite a battle from the start of this ball game. Reggie Barnes can't get outside of Albert Williams.
Reggie wanted to go back cutting inside, but there wasn't any room for him, so he had to try to bounce it back to the outside, and Winnipeg's penetration that time is what stopped the play.
2nd and 10, Ottawa from the 30-yard line. Damon Allen to Gerald Wilcox. He gets the first down up to the 47.
I'm amazed at how many times Damon Allen has been able to pull the Riders out of that 2nd and long yardage situation. That hasn't been the tradition of Damon Allen.
That has not been his forte during the course of this season. When you look at his passing statistics coming into this game, completing just 44.7% of his throws. He gives the ball to Reggie Barnes. Barnes is looking for his first 100-yard rushing game of the season, and he is closing in on that mark.
They like to put Conrad up to the short side of the field and then run the counter back with both the guard and tackle pulling, and Barnes just runs to daylight. He runs to where the defense doesn't react, and he's effective at it, and Darryl Rogers is concerned about it.
Barnes has carried 11 times for 77 yards. He'll probably get the call again on 2nd and 1. And he provides Ottawa with another first down.
I'd like to see a play pass in that situation once in a while, and I think Damon, as he gets some confidence with his offensive line doing a good job up front, then he'll come back and get a 2nd and 1 and maybe put the ball up. You've got the defense bunched up. You got a good chance of throwing a nice long bomb.
You and your predecessor, Ron Lancaster, both like that play up in the booth.
I wonder how Ron likes it now at Edmonton. Looks like he's doing pretty well.
David Conrad attracts a couple of Blue Bombers after a gain of about 4. James West and Ken Haley made the tackle. You mentioned Ron Lancaster. I had a nice visit with Ron and his wife Bev up in Edmonton on the weekend while covering the World Junior Basketball Championships. He's looking forward to the Eastern swing that the Edmonton Eskimos are making. This week in Hamilton, next week in Ottawa. They play in Hamilton on Saturday night. Good fake by Damon Allen, and the right side opens up for him all the way to the 28.
Yeah. Well, what you see here is that this totally confused This totally confused because there's two guards pulling and they crack into each other. As the two guards pull, Damon Allen comes out and makes a big play out of it. Watch the guards hit each other. Bang, right into each other. That confuses the Winnipeg defense, and Damon's already out around it. Come on, guards.
They might have to put that one into the playbook. No room inside for Reggie Barnes. Stopped by Paul Randolph.
Probably those guards are still trying to answer the phone. The bells are ringing from hitting each other in the head. Unfortunately, the two linebackers that were keying on the guards, they hit each other too.
Gerald Roper and Brian Illerbrun, the two guards who collided on that play, but Damon Allen was able to convert it into a first down. Barnes with 82 rushing yards. Robert Mims, the leading rusher in the CFL, only 11 so far. Stephan Jones, touchdown!
Jones and Joe Farragelli like each other now. Watch Stephan Jones as he sells him on the inside route, breaks back to the outside, and Damon Allen put the ball right where it had to be. That's a beautiful football play.
And Terry Baker adds the point after. And Ottawa now leads 28-9. 6:10 remains in the third quarter. We'll be back to the Ottawa kickoff after this.
It's a heck of a party here at Lansdowne Park, and win or lose, the Rough Riders can always count on the support of the Southsiders. They're the fans who occupy the top seats up here in the Southside Grandstand. Byron Smith's the president of the Southsiders, says he only works to get enough money to come to Rough Rider games, and first chance we get, Don, we're going to talk to him about the party here tonight.
Penalty flag on the play as the ball is brought out to the 35-yard line. I'd suggest you don't get smart with any of those folks on the south side, Scott, or return to sender might be your theme song.
Scott,
all right, Byron, we got a moment here now before they scrimmage. Tell me, do the Southsiders like what they see tonight?
Yeah, we like this. There's a new fierceness to the way the guys are playing. There's more life to it, and we like that. We're ahead. We like it.
Did Steve Goldman have to go? Is that the considered opinion of the Southsiders?
Yeah, up here we think so because we don't think Damon can do the job, and Steve had to go first. I think we'll get a first-string quarterback, and we'll be doing it soon.
You told me before the game, dressed like this, I probably wouldn't get in here, and I want to thank you for inviting me.
We'll let you out of here. We'll get you an escort.
Yeah, can you escort me out? Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, Byron Smith, the president of the Southsiders, up here in the top seats, the Bob Uecker seats in the Southside Grandstands. They love what they're seeing tonight, Don.
Yes, indeed, with a 28-9 score. Pass complete to Rob Kriefel, tripped up at the 40-yard line.
Scott Flagel saved the touchdown because Treeful was in the open. He reached out and made a shoestring tackle on that. They caught them in the blitz again. And I'm surprised Ottawa trying to come in and do so many blitzes. Burgess knows how to pick up the blitz, and there was a good pickup inside. Burgess delivered the ball because Hunter was right in there. Good pickup. Burgess delivered the ball.
First and 10, Winnipeg. The ball just shy of the 40-yard line. There's the blitz again. Flagel unable to intercept. Brian Bonner was coming from that outside linebacking position and hit Burgess while he was in the act of throwing. That caused the football to flutter just over the line of scrimmage, and Scott Flagel almost made an interception.
When you're a quarterback, you have to have your range of motion. And when you've got a helmet in your armpit, you just can't deliver the football. That's why it fluttered and it died. No chance for a good pass on that particular play.
4:57 remaining in the third quarter. Second and 10. Burgess can't find a receiver, runs the football, and gets a first down.
I like that. He's taking the ball game into his own hands. He's having some trouble on pass protection. Darryl Rogers has to like that because what he's done, he's taken it onto himself to make the first down. That's a quarterback for you. He knows there's no receivers open. They're doing a good job of man coverage. Downfield, Burgess takes off, makes the first down himself. Good quarterbacking.
First and 10, Winnipeg. The ball is at the 51. Perry Tuttle with another first down at the Ottawa 48.
Well, you know, Anthony Drawhorn is all over Tuttle. He's on him like a cheap suit. And what Tuttle has to do is to sell him on something. So he broke to the inside and just came back watch him come back for the football. He knows where the ball's going to be. Drawhorn doesn't, so he had to come back and get it.
Larry Willis downfield was waving his arms. He thought he was wide open, but the pass went instead to Perry Tuttle, and he gets a first down.
Willis will get his chance if they keep completing those inside hook routes.
4:03 remains in the third quarter. 28-9 is the score. First and 10, Winnipeg. Here's the blitz again. This one is intercepted. Jeff Jackson took that ball after Lloyd Lewis got to quarterback Tom Burgess. The Ottawa Roughriders take over with 3:51 remaining in the third quarter. Jeff Jackson is the man who intercepted, but it was set up by the play of Lloyd Lewis, who got free on a blitz.
Lloyd Lewis comes inside, a two blockers setting up out here, and naturally they get the interception off of Burgess when he is hit as he's throwing the ball. 42 has a chance to just pluck it out of the air. Jackson has the interception. Big play in this ballgame.
3:51 remaining in the third quarter. Winnipeg with its best drive of the football game, having the effort snuffed out by the interception by Jackson. First and 10 Ottawa from the 47. Allen fakes, throws to the sidelines, intended for Brock Smith. It will be second and 10.
James West is a marvelous football player. He can make the plays on the running game as the wave is going through the crowd, but he makes good plays on the running game, and he was out on that pass play 35 yards out to the sideline making a play. That's wild James West.
The fans at Lansdowne have enjoyed what they've seen on the field, and they're having a lot of fun in the stands tonight. 28-9, Ottawa leading Winnipeg. Damon Allen on second down. Incomplete, intended for Gerald Wilcox.
I think Michael Allen had something to say about that too. That's a tough situation when the ball's there and the free safety's coming over to say hello to you, and you don't know what's going to get there first. The free safety's helmet in your face or the football.
Baker has been averaging almost 50 yards per punt in tonight's football game.
Well, Terry Baker came out of Mount Allison University about 9 years ago, and he wasn't even shaving at the time. He's certainly grown up since then.
Bad snap, but he got the kick away. Not a good one. It goes out of bounds. They'll spot it, let's see, at about the 36 or 37 yard line. Now they're going to mark it at the 31.
Oh, they're not going to get that football back. Can we use a telestrator? We'll show you where the ball's hidden.
Those Southsiders are not going to return the football. Maybe we could send Scott Oak up into the stands to rescue it. Well, they now mark the football at the 35-yard line as the point where it went out. And it will be first and 10. That must have been a mix-up between Mims and Burgess because that pass was behind him. Mims wasn't even looking for it.
Well, Mims, I think, was surprised that Greg Stuman was covering him. They switched it up at the last minute, sent the linebacker, and dropped Stuman off in coverage.
2:36 is the time remaining in the third quarter. 28-9. Ottawa leads Winnipeg. Winnipeg with a 2-2 record. Ottawa 0-4. Oh, Stuman decks Burgess from the backside. The ball comes loose, but the whistle had gone. And there was also a penalty flag on the play. I think prior to that hit, they are ruling that Ottawa recovered. But prior to that hit, there was a penalty flag. It would have been a holding call against Winnipeg.
Well, you just saw in the last play what happened.
Holding. Winnipeg decline. First down.
Craig Stuman dropped off in coverage the last play. This play, he runs totally around the outside corner.
Harry Tuttle had a lot of problems trying to get into his route as he was knocked down by Charles Gordon. But the ball came loose when Burgess was hit by Stuman. Ottawa recovered 1st and 10 from the 25. A penalty flag as Ken Haley went after the interception in front of Jock Climie. And on that last play, you also may have caught a glimpse of Darryl Rogers leaning in to talk to Danny McManus. I think we're going to see a Winnipeg quarterbacking change.
Well, it's a good time to do it.
Holding. Ottawa number 25. First down repeated.
The holding call is against David Conrad. That takes the ball back to the 35. It will be 1st and 20 now. Danny McManus limbering up at that Winnipeg bench. Reggie Barnes trying to get outside of Greg Battle, and the Winnipeg linebacker won't let him get away. 1:40 remains in the 3rd quarter.
But Danny McManus is one of those kinds of guys that he loves to play football, and I think to get him into games like this and let him move the club is good for him. He played in the Toronto game 2 weeks ago, and he did a good job of moving the football club. And who knows? He looks like Boomer Esiason. You know, maybe he can play like him.
Second and 17, Ottawa from the 32. Pass is complete to Jock Climie. Touchdown. Determination that carried Jock Climie into the end zone.
That is nice to see, because Jock Climie is one of those special teams players. He's always doing what he can do to contribute to the football team. Now he had a chance to make a reception, and he's using special teams pride and fighting to get to the end zone. Look at him drive. He's carrying people with him into the end zone. Nice play by Jock Climie.
Point after makes it a 35-9 football game. Ottawa leading Winnipeg here at Lansdowne Park. Well, when you've never scored a professional touchdown and you get the ball at the 10, I guess you're determined to get into the end zone in case they don't throw the ball to you on the next play, and that's exactly what Jock Climie did.
Jock doesn't get very many chances, and he got one on that play, so he took it all the way in, through about 4 different bodies. He breaks tackles, 1 tackle. He breaks another tackle, and another tackle, and another tackle, and he goes in for the touchdown. That's determination. That's only a special teams player could do that.
Kickoff return. Whoa, takes a big hit at the 30-yard line from Sean Daniels. 52 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Well, Danny McManus is coming into a fired-up Ottawa team. They're really pumped up now because they've got the lead. Hey, they haven't had many times where they've had the lead and they can just rush the passer.
Jock Climie accepting congratulations at the Ottawa bench as Danny McManus directs the attack now for Winnipeg. He gives to Robert Mims, And Robert Mims will advance the football 7 yards. 30 seconds the time remaining in the third quarter.
Well, Danny is showing good poise. He came in. He's not trying to win the ball game on one play. He's establishing his fullback, his running back to get in there and make a 2nd and 3. Now he can't be wrong. Whatever he does on 2nd and 3 usually works.
Here comes the blitz from Daniel Hunter. And the give is to Robert Mims, and Robert Mims gets help from Larry Willis, who blocks Andre Francis, at least temporarily, but Francis managed to recover and force Mims out of bounds up at the 45-yard line of Ottawa. And that is also the final play of the third quarter. Ottawa with the big 35-9 lead. Trevor Kennard stays loose at that Winnipeg bench. He'd like to be kicking a convert rather than a field goal, and he hopes that Danny McManus will be able to sustain this drive from the 45. Larry Willis on the sidelines goes out of bounds in the grasp of Patrick Wayne. Statistically, the Rough Riders lead in all departments. Winnipeg has turned the ball over 3 times. That has been a problem all season for Winnipeg. In their loss to Toronto, they turned the ball over 10 times.
No question, you can't turn the football over, particularly in a hard-fought, tough contest like this. But Ottawa's turned the football over the first 4 ball games. They haven't tonight.
McManus throws the pass, incomplete, intended for Paul Randolph. Winnipeg with that short yardage offense in there. That's the play you like, Joe.
I like it, but I don't know if I like it on 3rd and 2. Now they're in a situation where they have to go for the 2 yards. Flagle has something to say about Willis. He gave him the clothesline. Willis said, "What clothesline?"
When that ball doesn't come your way and you're running those patterns, keep your head up. 3rd down draw play with Robert Mims. And Mims gets inside the Ottawa 25-yard line. A first down. He's tackled by former Blue Bomber Scott Flagle.
One thing you never want to do is overestimate Robert Mims. Darryl Rogers knows what he's got in that running back position, and he wants to get him the football more often than he's gotten him the ball tonight. That's a fine bit of running.
The leading rusher in the CFL has 8 carries tonight for 61 yards. He came into the game with 400 yards. Larry Willis was the man that McManus was attempting to get the ball to. He was being covered by Andre Francis. Willis is protesting that there should have been a flag on the play.
Watch this closely. Andre knows where the official is, and he also knows where Willis's inside arm is. He pulled that inside arm, and that's a penalty. It's a little sneaky. He got away with it, but it certainly is a penalty. You can't impede the receiver. That's a hinder, and the ball was catchable.
I think it was more than a hinder. I think it was an outright hold. Perry Tuttle tipped the football. Anthony Drawhorn went up to try for the interception in vain.
Perry's done a lot of things tonight, and what he's done, he makes the breakout and he really gets up high for the ball, but he knows he's going to get Flagle coming over top, and you see him try to tuck and protect himself, but that ball was way overthrown.
Winnipeg going after it on 3rd and 10. And McManus delivers to Johnson. The 3rd down gamble pays off as McManus delivered the football to Troy Johnson, who paid a price taking a hit from Scott Flagle.
Well, Scott Flagle won't let anybody have a ball easy, and you've got to be impressed with Troy Johnson, his concentration on putting this catch inside. Watch him take the hit. I mean, he takes a good one right in the chin.
Scott Flagel has that reputation of being a hitter from his safety position. First and goal, Winnipeg from the 8-yard line. Here comes pressure from Wayne. The pass into the end zone. Intercepted by Francis, but there's a penalty flag on the play. Larry Willis didn't get a pass interference call earlier. They get it this time on Andre Francis.
That's what Papa Joe's telling him. You can't do it twice.
I'll call it out.
You might get away with it one time, but you're not going to get away with it
interference.
twice.
Ottawa number 1, first down.
This time it wasn't Francis on Willis, it was Francis on Rob Crefo, the pass interference, just out of the picture. So it's first and goal, Winnipeg from the 1-yard line with 11:53 remaining in the ballgame. Penalty flag as Robert Mims dives into the end zone for the major score.
Offside. Ottawa. Decline. Touchdown.
So the Blue Bombers get their second touchdown of the ball game. Offensively this year, coming into this game, Winnipeg had only scored 5 touchdowns.
Well, 5 touchdowns in 4 ball games, that's not a lot. That's not enough.
They've been blessed, fortunately, with a great defense that has kept them in football games, and as a matter of fact, won a couple of football games for them. The point after by Trevor Kennard, and it's 25-16, Ottawa in front, 11:47 remains, and we'll have the Winnipeg kickoff when we come back. Scott, and looking forward to the event, one of the features should be that sprint relay. The Americans with Leroy Burrell and Carl Lewis setting a world record this past week at the World Class Championship in Zurich. The kickoff return brings the ball out to the 36-yard line. 11:42 remaining in this football game. Anthony Drawhorn on the return. He was tackled by Steve Grant. The Rough Riders dominated both the second and third quarters, scoring 2 touchdowns in both the second and third quarters.
I think it's important for them to get a score in this drive or the next drive in particular.
David Conrad has a first down. And there's also a penalty flag thrown against Darrell Sampson. Not sure whether they're ruling that he may have gone a hand up into the face mask. Yes, that apparently is the call.
Well, that certainly wasn't a dangerous face mask like you see in an open field tackle when you're bringing somebody down. He's got the angle.
Major foul. Face mask. Winnipeg number 30. First down.
Could have been a double fouler. I thought Conrad might have had Sampson's face mask as well.
I think it was a retaliatory tactic.
Reggie Barnes caught by Michael Gray after a pickup of about a yard. You know, watching tonight's game back in Winnipeg is Vicky Zarnecki, who has retired after serving as executive secretary of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for 37 years. There are a lot of people that said over the last few years that she really ran the Winnipeg Blue Bombers from her secretary's office. Vicky, we wish you all the best in your retirement.
Vicky, if you've had to put up with Lumsden, Murphy, you've done a great job.
Gerald Wilcox inside the 20.
Damon Allen took a good hit from James West, but he knew he was going to get hit, delivered the football to Wilcox right between the zones, and that's a nice football play.
On the Bombers.
Damon Allen has really been spreading that workload around tonight, Joe.
And he's been taking some shots. He's been getting hit as he throws the football. He's showing a lot of confidence tonight, getting it to all the receivers, as you said.
Incomplete.
Stefan Jones really took a hit on the sidelines from Rod Hill as he went up for that Damon Allen throw. That's the price a receiver pays when he exposes himself on a high throw.
Most receivers are track men, and track men don't usually like to get hit in the middle of the back with a helmet or shoulder pads. That's a hard hit. But that's Rod Hill's answer to all those passes that they've been catching in front of him.
Well, Farragelli said that they had to try and get the ball more often into the hands of Stefan Jones in tonight's game, and they've succeeded. They've also been getting the ball into Reggie Barnes' hands more often as a runner than a pass receiver, but as a receiver he picks up a first down. It will be 1st and goal from the 4. There is a penalty flag back at the line of scrimmage, however, and the effort could go for naught.
Holding, Ottawa number 65. Second down repeat.
Gerald Roper is called for holding.
Yeah, Jerome Reinhardt's been having a whale of a football game, and there's only one way to keep him out of there. I guess that's to hold him. I thought it was a call for the pick because that was a beautiful pick play.
2nd and 20 from the 30-yard line. Allen with time. He was looking for Gerald Wilcox. However, Wilcox had already stepped out of bounds.
Stefan Jones broke into the open, and Wilcox ended up with both receivers or both defenders on him. But Darryl Rogers saying, "Hey, who's supposed to be on Stefan Jones?"
So Terry Baker, who has enjoyed a very successful night, will try a field goal of 37 yards with 8:50 remaining in the football game. Career best 52-yarder earlier.
Good from 37 yards.
So he is 3 for 4 in the field goal department as the Rough Riders increase their lead 38-16. Unless Danny McManus can perform some miracles over the final 8:38, the Rough Riders are going to end their 4-game drought. They lead 38-16. Ken Haley will field the kickoff at the 14-yard line. Winnipeg will scrimmage 1st and 10 from the 36. Sean Bobby is downfield to make the tackle.
They say you get an indication of a football team on how they cover the kicks, and Ottawa has certainly been doing a good job of that tonight. I think their special teams, the defensive line coach George Cortez was telling us that that's their concern. They want to see some enthusiasm on the special teams, and with Terry Baker leading the way, the special teams have done a great job.
Winnipeg 1st and 10. Danny McManus taking over late in the 3rd quarter from starter Tom Burgess. Warren Hudson carries on 1st and 10 and picks up about 3 yards. It's easy to smile when you're leading. And the Ottawa Rough Riders are comfortably in front by 22 points. 23,413 watching tonight's game at Lansdowne Park. They've been treated to a solid display by the Rough Riders. Rob Grifo claims that he caught the football, but the official says he did not.
Well, that's the value of that extra official on the field this year. He's able to be right on top of those plays, and he was right there, and he saw the ball bounce off the turf, ruled it a bounce catch.
You know, while we have an opportunity, our director, Jim Marshall, wanted us to wish happy birthday to his mother, Marge, who is watching tonight's game. Jim didn't say how old she was, but he did say she gets her first pension check next month.
Well, happy birthday, Marge.
Drawhorn takes the ball to the 31. Brendan Rodgers was there to make the tackle. 7:28 is the time remaining in the ball game. The Rough Riders are home next Thursday to the Edmonton Eskimos. Brown makes the catch in front of Les Brown for a gain of about 5 yards.
Damon knows that he's got to get the football over to Eddie Brown so that the teams that are scouting him and looking at him know that there's a receiver on the other side of the field. So this is what a lot of coaches call break the tendencies quarter.
On second down, Damon Allen throws to Jock Croyme, and that's another first down for Ottawa. 6:50 is the time remaining. While Ottawa will be at home to Edmonton next Thursday, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers return home to host the Hamilton Tiger Cats next Friday night.
Nobody knows Damon Allen better than Farragelli, and he's having him sprint out. He's got him moving the pocket, as he calls it. The launch of where he throws that football changes almost every play.
Farragelli said Damon Allen doesn't have to prove that he's a drop-back passer. David Conrad is the ball carrier, but he also emphasized that he wanted to see more of a running attack, and he's getting that tonight. You know, Joe Farragelli, from June of last year to June of this year, has been involved in 32 football games. He was with Edmonton for 22, and then Montreal with the World League of American Football for another 10, and he's back in business again with the Ottawa Rough Riders as an interim head coach.
I don't know if he can take many more celebrations. He loves to have a big plate of spaghetti after he wins. That's a lot of spaghetti in one year. And the way he's going tonight, it's going to be a lot of Ottawa restaurants enjoying Joe Farragelli in town.
Something he stressed to the players, have some fun out there and play with passion. I think we've seen evidence of fun and passion on behalf of the Rough Riders tonight.
Well, I think the monkey's off their back. You know, he's seen some success. He's congratulating people. That's all they needed, was to have some success. And then they just let it go, and they've been playing really well since then. And you can't underestimate what Terry Baker has done tonight, because those field goals have certainly helped.
5:21 is the time remaining. Terry Baker's field goal, or punt, bounces to Larry Willis. And Willis goes down at the 19-yard line.
Good field position by Ottawa. Has had just a really good job of covering on their kicks, so Winnipeg has had tough field position nearly the whole night.
.38-16 is the score with 5:18 remaining. And these fans have had fun tonight at Lansdowne Park.
You know, a hint to anybody that owns an Italian restaurant in Ottawa, Joe Farragelli has a signal he gives to the chef. When he comes in, he says, "Don't bring me any more food." That means he wants more.
Pass is complete, and there's also a penalty flag. Perry Tuttle takes it out of bounds up at the 49-yard line.
Forward pass interference. Ottawa number 26, decline, first down.
Charles Gordon was guilty of the pass interference, but with Tuttle picking up the big first down, his 7th catch for 118 yards, the penalty is declined. McManus attempted to go to Tuttle again. Anthony Drawhorn was defending. John Payne, a former head coach in the Canadian Football League, one of the Winnipeg assistants this year, the other assistant on the sideline, Urban Bowman.
Seems to be a lot of former head coaches around the league. Ray Yock and John Payne. Joe Farragelli is back in there, and we heard about Al Bruno being around.
One television broadcaster back in the business as well. Are you thinking about getting back in the coaching profession?
I kind of like what we're doing, Don. McManus takes a hard hit by Kolka, and Kolka was one of the guys that sort of helped the general manager this week. So he's showing that He's going to play harder like he promised. It's like a street fight up front with those big guys. They have a lot of pride, and when they get a lead, they love to just go after the opposing quarterback.
On 3rd and 10, McManus attempted to go for his biggest target, Rob Grifo, and Scott Flagel got there to knock the pass down. On the sidelines now, let's bring in Scotto.
Don, here's a member of the Rough Riders who'd love to be sharing in what's going on in the field at Lansdowne Park tonight. He's Bart Hull of the famous Hull family, son of Bobby, brother of Brett, and you're not going to play again this season because of that knee explosion.
Yeah, it's unbelievable the difference this week has made in the guys out there. You know, I've been around practice. You know, it's the worst thing watching a team turn around like this and not being part of it.
So you're not going to play again this season, as we've said, and that you're vulnerable when I ask you this question, but are you sorry you never pursued hockey because you were a pretty good player, given what's happened here?
Well, there's an old saying, he who looks back dies of regret, so I try not to look back on it, but sometimes it's hard not to.
And don't you fret. I understand you're going to be a pretty good football player.
Thanks a lot.
You look good in the games that you played so far, the limited time you had on the field. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Don?
All right, Scott, and Bart, like his father, like his brother, has that charm and that big smile. If Eddie Brown is going to catch a pass tonight, he's got to figure out some means of staying on the football field.
He might have to catch it over in the clubhouse. He could have had a sandwich and catch the football at the same time there at the post-game party. Look where he threw the ball. I don't blame Damon for throwing the ball because he's got pressure on him by the same guy that's been giving him pressure all night, Jerome Reinhardt. He's about 200 yards out of bounds, and the clubhouse is right behind him.
Each time he tries to run down
Look,
the sidelines.
he went in the locker room door. He went in the locker room door.
Each time Brown goes down those sidelines, he gets bounced out of bounds. Brown is not a big receiver. And Winnipeg playing that bump and run on defense and been able to knock him off stride.
Well, they got pressured the last few times, so they got extra protection in the back, and they almost got this kick. Terry Baker's trying to come up and make the recovery, but they're not letting him do it.
There we go, baby! Daniel Hunter prevented Larry Willis from going anywhere. And back at the line of scrimmage, Terry Baker involved in an altercation.
Terry Baker said that Don Sweet was his hero because he tried out with the Alouettes when Don Sweet was there. But Don Sweet never would have done this. I know Don Sweet, he would have never gotten into a fight with a football player, particularly end up on the bottom.
Michael Allen and Terry Baker involved in that skirmish.
That's the way to come over and help your kicker. Got to protect those goalies and kickers, right?
3 minutes remaining in the game. Grifo makes the catch up at the 48.
That's a beautiful catch. I like this Grifo. Every time he's been in a ball game, he makes things happen when the ball gets around him. He's a big, rangy guy, and he's got a lot of courage.
A 32-yard gain on the pass with 2:53 the time remaining. Winnipeg looking at 1st and 10. The ball is at the 48-yard line. There are 7 members of this Ottawa football team that Farragelli has been associated with in the past. He had Damon Allen and Andre Francis in Edmonton, as well as Greg Steuben and Stefan Jones. Brian Illerbrun played for Farragelli in Saskatchewan, and Terry Baker and Glenn Coca were with Farragelli during his brief stint with the Montreal Alouettes.
He's had 2 coaches as well that were with him when he was in Edmonton.
Doug Sams and Mike Roach, and he indicated that he would let those 2 do the majority of the coaching in this game.
I think what Joe did is he came in, he said, let's do 3 things. Let's do some sprint out. Let's make sure we get the running game going, and let's not be so gloomy. Let's get pat these guys on the back once in a while when they do something right and not get down on them when they make mistakes. And those 3 things have certainly paid off tonight.
Winnipeg 2nd and 10. The ball is at the 48-yard line. Lloyd Lewis goes out of the ball game. He'll be replaced by Michael Raby.
That hat looks like it goes with Joe Farragelli's shorts. I think James West ought to work a trade. Joe didn't have his luggage here. He was wearing a pair of leopard skin shorts for practice.
2nd and 10. Perry Tuttle over the middle has a first down to the 50 of Ottawa.
If there's a bright spot for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, it's the play of Perry Tuttle tonight. He's certainly shown people that he's back. Perry Tuttle is, what is he, 34 years old. He's running out there like he's 21.
Penalty flag is down. This pass well over the head of Larry Willis. 2:30 is the time remaining. A procedure call against Winnipeg, and it will probably be declined.
Procedure, Winnipeg 22, declined, 2nd down.
2nd and 10 from the 50-yard line. Perry Tuttle with another first down at the 37.
I think the fans thought that ball bounced a little bit, and so did I, but the official was right there, and he called it a completion.
A couple of the Ottawa defenders also thought it had bounced. Rob Grifo is wide open, and there's no question that ball did not bounce until he spiked it in the end zone.
That's nice to see. I think Grifo, that's something that's good for this club to end on. I think Winnipeg, having to get another score like that, having been shut out, they need to start scoring some points. And Darryl Rogers said, hey, there's nothing wrong with our football team. We just got to get our offense on track. And I've got a suspicion that if they get it on track, it's going to be Rob Grifo making catches like this.
Rob Grifo is a big target, 6'6", 215 pounds. Winnipeg going for the 2-point conversion. Perry Tuttle takes it into the end zone. So Rob Grifo and Danny McManus, as they did in the game against Toronto late in the 4th quarter, combined for a Winnipeg touchdown. But with only 2:16 remaining and trailing by 14 points, it may be too little and too late.
I think Danny McManus has certainly shown that he's a football player, and he's capable of playing in this league. Regardless of when you get in the football game, you got to take some hits, and you got to be able to put the ball on the target, and he's done that.
And I think it's safe to assume that some Winnipeg fans will be clamoring for McManus to get a shot as the starting quarterback next week against the Hamilton Ticats.
I think Danny has a different ability, certainly, than a Tom Burgess, but he certainly looks like he's got the wherewithal to be able to be a starting quarterback.
Winnipeg with the short kickoff attempt, knocked out of bounds by Jock Climie. Ottawa had the hands team out of there, and Jock Climie has made a major contribution tonight to the Ottawa success.
They want to get that ball up so that Winnipeg can knock it out of bounds, but Climie is a tall guy. They get him over there because he's their best jumper. And because he gets it out of bounds, all of those people that were in on that return team, what you call the hands team, were receivers or running backs, people that have some skill.
We're going to see Jason Garrett get an opportunity to play quarterback now for Ottawa. And he is going to be a very conservative signal caller, I'm sure. He gives the ball to David Pangrath.
Well, Jason made a great play on the hold for that field goal. I mean, he had a bad snap, and he still took the ball, put it back down on the tee, and made things happen. Looks like Battle's got a cramp.
The Bombers are already without Tyrone Jones as a linebacker. They can ill afford to lose Greg Battle, the outstanding performer defensively in the Canadian Football League last year. I mentioned that Coach Darrell Rogers was saying Greg Battle was one of only 5 freshmen he ever had in college at Arizona State and Michigan State who were starters. One of the other starters for him at Michigan State was linebacker Danny Bass of the Edmonton Eskimos.
Well, it looked like somebody went over Battle's ankle, and he's having some problems in his calf. You know, when coaches get changed, it's interesting. That's part of the game, and certainly nobody wants to see that. But there's a tradition that goes on in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Steelers groundskeeper. He always leaves a pair of coveralls in the opposing coach's locker room. And he said, here, you're going to need these when you get fired after we beat you. That might have worked tonight. Farragelli didn't have his equipment, so... But he did have his quarterback. He didn't bring his luggage, but he brought Damon Allen, and that's a fine start.
Remember that fan on the south side was saying that they had to get rid of Steve Goldman, and then they have to get rid of Damon Allen. I don't know about getting rid of Damon Allen. He has the tools to be a fine player.
I think with his running, I think that's what they did tonight. They used him more as a runner on their sprint out in terms of passing. And Damon Allen won the Grey Cup for the Edmonton Eskimos several years ago when Joe Farragelli was coaching.
That was in '87 when Damon Allen came off the bench to win the Grey Cup. 38-36 over the Toronto Argonauts.
And a great football game, as I remember.
Damon Allen tonight reached a milestone in passing, his 90th career touchdown toss. Jason Garrett, who has taken over at quarterback, staying on the ground, giving to Reggie Barnes, and he is stopped at the line of scrimmage with 1:58 remaining in the game.
The coaches are going to look at the films and ask who was supposed to be blocking Jerome Reinhardt, because nobody's blocked him all night. This guy's gone through that whole front line of Ottawa, and he's made plays all over the field.
Terry Baker is going to use as much time as possible on that 20-second clock before launching this kick. He takes it right down to 2 before the ball is snapped. A good high punt. Larry Willis fields it, and there are penalty flags on the play.
Remind me never to say that there were 26 fewer penalties this year than there were last year, because I'm going to tell Ross Perrier that they have just made up those 26 penalties in this game.
The officials are attempting to sort this one out.
Well, if we want to talk about a smart penalty or a dumb penalty, I think this probably was a dumb one, because Winnipeg has the football on about the 5-yard line, so any penalty is a bad one.
1:29 is the time remaining.
Coaches call it a smart penalty when you save the quarterback from getting a sack or save a touchdown on a deep bomb.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Ottawa 22, first down.
Sean Foudy, who made the tackle on Larry Willis, is guilty of the unnecessary roughness.
Must have been some kind of tackle.
So that improves Winnipeg's field position. Perhaps we can see it on this replay. I believe it was a call for hitting a Winnipeg player in the back prior to making the tackle. The pass was intended for Perry Tuttle. It was knocked down by the cornerback, Charles Gordon.
Perry Tuttle's had a day's work tonight. He's certainly been the target of a lot of passes, but the most important thing for Winnipeg is that Perry Tuttle is off the injury, and Perry Tuttle's part of the arsenal that they have. Now if they can get Robert Mims and Creefel and Larry Willis and some of the other people into the ball game, they're going to have a potent offense.
McManus went to Perry Tuttle once too often because Anthony Drawhorn was there to intercept. Is the time remaining, and I think the fans at Lansdowne Park now feel confident that the Rough Riders are going to garner their first win of the season after 4 consecutive losses.
Anthony Drawhorn gave another football to the Ottawa crowd.
And that is Winnipeg's 5th turnover of this game, and Darryl Rogers will not be happy with that statistic. 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles, and they lost the ball on downs.
Just the opposite of what you would expect. Ottawa had all the turnovers going into the football game.
Jason Garrett remains at quarterback. 1st and 10 from the 34. Robert Menz. And Archie Barnes, I should say, gets to the 30-yard line. Jerome Reinhardt was there to make the tackle.
Second and 6.
I had Anthony Drawhorn in BC, and he said, say something good about me. And I said, well, I can't say anything good unless you do something good. So Anthony Drawhorn, that was a very alert interception.
We're into the final minute of this football game. Reggie Barnes again. And he'll pick up about 2 more yards. And I think we're going to see the Ottawa field goal team once again. Well, the Ottawa players spoke confidently yesterday as they held their final workout for this game. Most of them that we talked with, Joe, spoke about a new attitude among the members of the team, how they seem to be much more relaxed.
I think what they've done in this ball game is they've come out and did exactly what Joe Farragelli said he wanted them to do. Forget about a mistake. You make a mistake, forget about it. Joe's got to be happy with his kicker. This guy has done everything tonight but sell hot dogs. Terry Baker has really come into prominence as a two-way kicker. He's kicking the field goals, he's kicking on the punts, kickoffs. He's a valuable guy to this team.
41-24. Ottawa now leads Winnipeg. And the Rough Riders have their initial win of 1991. And Joe Farragelli, after the game, I'm sure, will say that he didn't really change anything as far as their offensive scheme was concerned, except perhaps their attitude.
That's what he said. He had confidence in the coaches and their ability to call the game plan. It's just he wanted them to get a different type of attitude going into the game and not worry about 1 mistake or 2 mistakes. He said something bad happens to every team in every football game. When something bad happens, it's not important. It's what you do the next play that's important.
Larry Willis on the receiving end of the previous throw. This one is directed for Johnson, and he takes it down to the 21-yard line.
There's another guy that's going to get into the offense. I think Troy Johnson's a fine football player, but they've got to get him the ball more often. He showed some courage catching the ball over the middle, and he showed a spurt here to get open and get the ball, but he looks like he's either pulled the hamstring or he's limping on his ankle.
Winnipeg has had problems over the last few years with Ottawa. Last year, Winnipeg won 31-26 in the first game of the season in overtime, but then lost the next 2. Larry Willis in the end zone bumped off his pass route by Andre Francis. Ottawa's 2 victories last year over Winnipeg, 27-20 and 27-18. And on their season series with this win tonight, Ottawa and Winnipeg will be even. Winnipeg winning 26-19. They meet again in Winnipeg on September 22nd.
It's interesting, the matchups. Some teams give other teams a lot more trouble than you would expect. That's Troy Johnson, and he looks like it's a hamstring, and the higher up you hold that ham, the worse it is, and he was holding it fairly high.
Well, he was injured on the play previous to the incomplete pass. When he made that sideline reception, he got up holding his hamstring. He stayed out there for the next play, but now has gone down with just 10 seconds remaining. Week 5 in the CFL. Tonight, BC at Calgary, and the other game on the agenda this Thursday. Tomorrow, Toronto is at Saskatchewan, and on Saturday, Edmonton is at Hamilton. Whether he wants it or not, I think Joe Farragelli is going to get a shower in about 10 seconds.
You know, in the old days, they used to carry a coach off the field. Now they throw a bucket of water on him. Kids are different nowadays.
That Gatorade bucket is ready to be dumped.
10
the
seconds.
Look of innocence on the faces of those holding it.
I'm surprised. You know, Joe's been around. I'm surprised he doesn't know about it.
Penalty flag. Pass complete to Perry Tuttle. This will probably be a holding call against Winnipeg. Just 4 seconds remain. David Block was the player guilty, it would appear, of holding Lloyd Lewis. Referee Dave Ewell is explaining to Glenn Kalka his options.
Holding, Winnipeg number 51, second down repeated.
Abe Kovnats once told me when he was a referee, he had to explain things this way. Do you want the ball here, or do you want them to have it way down there?
That helped the captains, huh?
Hail Mary pass is intercepted, and Pops just got that. Now, ball, or was it caught? What did happen down there? They're ruling a touchdown. I thought it was intercepted, Joe.
I thought the defender had the football. This is like Doug Flutie's Hail Mary pass from Boston College. Who caught that ball?
I thought Andre Francis had come up with the interception down in the corner of the end zone. And the ball bounced out of his hands right to Perry Tuttle.
Well, Perry Tuttle's having that kind of a game.
The point after by Trevor Kennard. And that is the final play of the football game. And it will go into the books as a 41-31 victory. Ottawa over Winnipeg. The Ottawa Rough Riders under Joe Farragelli have their first victory of the season. And this is what happened over on the sidelines on that final play. And you can tell by his reaction, he was not expecting it. Well, the Ottawa Rough Riders certainly had some fun tonight, and they also got their first win of the season.
Cal Murphy, the Bomber general manager, may have seen this coming. He said this week his team had better button up its chin straps tightly in Ottawa, and they may not have been tight enough against the fired-up Riders, led by our Molson MVP, Ottawa quarterback Damon Allen. He went the distance for the Riders tonight. It's been suggested he couldn't get it done, but he did this evening, mixing up the offense nicely, completing 20 of 35 for 287 yards and 2 touchdowns. This one, he ran in himself to open the scoring tonight in a 41-31 Ottawa Rough Rider victory. And so the Ottawa coaching change produces the desired effect at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa tonight as the Riders rally for Joe Farragelli and win their first of the season. A week tonight will be at Skydome in Toronto. The Western Riders are there to visit the Argonauts.